Hi, I'm Annmarie and this is Albert and Sarah Jane by Malachy Doyle. Albert and Sarah Jane were the very best of buddies. Their favourite thing was to curl up in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. But there was one thing Albert liked even better than that, and that was eating his yummy scrunchy crunchies from his big blue bowl. And there was one thing he liked even better than that, and that was eating Sarah Jane's even yummier scrunchy fishy nibbles. He'd pinch one or two from her little red bowl when his buddy wasn't looking, and they always tasted so much better than his own. But one morning, while Sarah Jane was out and about early, Albert got a little bit carried away with his nibbling. So that when his pal came back in from the garden, all ready for breakfast, there wasn't a speck of food left in her little red bowl. And when she looked to see if there was anything in Albert's big blue bowl, she found there wasn't a speck of food in there either. She went to ask him why there hadn't been any food left to eat, but Albert was fast asleep in his basket. That's odd, she thought. I'm sure he's fatter than usual. I'm sure he smells all fishy too. You've been eating my food, you naughty dog, hissed Sarah Jane, arching her back. But Albert only snored and ignored her. Right, said Sarah Jane, I've had enough of this. And she turned around and marched straight out of the house. Albert opened one eye and saw her going out of the cat flap. She'll be back, he thought. She always comes back. But Sarah Jane didn't come back. She went to live next door instead. By evening, Albert was very lonely. By morning, he was howling at the cat flap. Come home, Sarah Jane, he cried. I miss you. Albert spotted Sarah Jane through the upstairs window. He smiled at her in a doggy sort of way, but Sarah Jane ignored him. So Albert slipped out of the house, went round to next door's doorstep, sat himself down by the cat flap and howled. Come home, Sarah Jane, he cried. I miss you. Stop howling, you naughty dog, hissed Sarah Jane, coming down to see what all the fuss was about. But I'm sad and lonely, said Albert. I want a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. Well, the food's better over here and nobody steals it, said Sarah Jane. But it's lonely here too, without a big smelly lump of a dog to snuggle up to. Me? Said Albert. Yes, you, said Sarah Jane. Do you miss me too? Asked Albert. I do, said Sarah Jane. Well, I'm sorry, said Albert. What for? Asked Sarah Jane. For gobbling at all your fishy nibbles, said Albert. Will you do it again? Asked Sarah Jane. I won't, said Albert. Will you even nibble them? Asked Sarah Jane. I won't, said Albert. Good, said Sarah Jane. So she marched back into her very own house, and Albert marched in behind her. They had a little nibble from their red and blue bowls, and they curled up together in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire and fell asleep. Have you ever fallen out with a friend? Did they say sorry? Did you say sorry? How did that make you feel? Subscribe to Therapeutic Stories for stories that heal.